Welcome to my Simply Perfect Events YouTube channel. My name is Summer McLean. I am the owner of my Simply Perfect Events and the creator of the Academy, which is an online school for wedding and event planners. Here we go. So every single time that I do a wedding, there are so many things that happen, and I'm taking so many notes because I'm like, I got to talk about this. I got to write about this. I got to talk about this, and I forget. And then I'll be at another wedding and I'll be like, this is killing me. I want to talk about it. So this is what we're going to talk about today. I need for all couples out there to pay attention closely, okay? Actually, this is for everybody, but I'm going to address the couples first, okay? Oftentimes there is a family member or like a close friend who somehow doesn't make the cut as someone in the bridal party, okay? So it's like, I love them, but I mean, the reality is like they're not important enough, right? They're not that close. I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. Because if someone was, such a good friend, they're one of my best friends, I love them so much, you would make extra room for them in your bridal party, right? So it's like, oh, we only have 8 people each. If it's someone that you love that much, you're gonna add a 9th person, okay? So what happens is, to those people who don't make the cut, oftentimes it's bridesmaids, I'm just gonna say it, whatever, but oftentimes the people who don't make the cut, they get put into these other positions, right? So the other positions are like usher, MC, Summer, this is my bridesmaid, or this is my close friend, and she's just going to be there helping you with whatever. Okay. I'm just going to shoot it to you straight. Those people get in the way. I mean, a lot of people get in the way when it comes to wedding day, but they really get in the way. Okay. And so what happens is, their feelings are like kind of hurt, and so what they end up doing is like trying to prove the entire wedding day that like they got your back, they're your close friend, they care about you, So then what happens is they're like going super hard all day trying to prove that like they should have been a bridesmaid. Now, this may not make sense to some of you couples out there, which is fine. I feel like wedding and event planners totally know what I'm talking about, and they get in the way, and it's annoying and it's frustrating. So I'm begging you. I'm pleading to you. Okay. Do not put family and friends in positions where a professional should be. Okay. I'm just going to give an example. Okay. So I did a wedding a little while ago, and the couple had some MCs, okay? And, like the idea was that they were going to MC the wedding, they were going to keep things rolling. I understand, maybe if you just don't know how weddings go, right? Or maybe this is something that, your friends and family member have done at every wedding that you've ever been to, and this is like kind of like a tradition. Let's say that that's what it is, okay? I don't have a problem with that as long as they realize that they're not in charge. As long as they realize that they need to listen to the wedding planner, I'm good, right? So what happens is a lot of times it becomes this thing where they're on stage all of a sudden. And half of the time, people don't want to do this, okay? This is just the truth. Half of the time, they don't want to do it, but they're going to do it because, you're the bride, you're the groom, you're the couple, you're the groom and the groom, whoever, and you're asking them to do it. So oftentimes, they're just going to do it, but they don't necessarily want to, okay? Because people get nervous and whatever, okay? So I had a wedding, and I gave the MC the timeline. And, we were going over some of the things, and I said to them, do not announce anything before I give you the cue. And they looked at me kind of like shocked, as if I just called their mom out of their name or something, okay? So I was like, and I just didn't think it was that weird, and I was already on edge because it's wedding day, and that's what happens. And I always say to people, 6 is my limit. Okay, so I'm going to tell you something 6 times, and then I'm going to have to get nasty. I don't care. If I have to tell you something 6 times, which happens all the time, I'm going to have to be a little more firm. So I say, I'm going to give you a cue, so please just don't announce anything before I give you the cue. Because yes, you have a timeline, but if you are not a professional in this industry, you don't understand how important it is to listen to the wedding planner. You don't understand that, like, just because it says at 10:30, we're going to cut the cake, we might not cut the cake at 10:30. We might cut the cake at 10:45. We might cut the cake at 10 o'clock. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't really know, you just need to sit back and do your job. And your job is to be the MC and to listen to the wedding planner. So anyway, I said it about 3 times because they were looking very confused. You know, they looked very almost offended. And then I started explaining. I said, well, you know, because maybe the photographer is in the bathroom. And if the photographer is in the bathroom, you can't announce the cake cutting because the photographer needs to be there to take a picture of the couple cutting the cake, you know? Maybe you don't know to pay attention and look out for the photographer. Maybe you don't know that the bride had to slip away and go to the bathroom. Maybe you don't know that it's going to take the bride 15 minutes to use the bathroom because she has a huge ball gown and she needs 4 of her bridesmaids in there holding up her gown, okay? Maybe you don't know that. And I don't expect you to know that because you're not a professional. Like, you're not in this industry. You know, maybe you get nervous and you're going, oh my God, it says cake cutting at 10 o'clock, right? So I explained this to them. They said to me, I was like, what? They said to me, so what's the cue? And I said, I'm just going to come up to you and tell you, you know? And they said, you're going to come up to me every single time to give me a cue? And I said, yeah. And they said, I don't need that type of supervision. And I was like, what? I'm like, what? Yeah. So they said, I don't need that type of supervision. And they were super offended. They were like ready to fight. And at this point, I was ready to fight too. Whatever. What's the point of pretending? Anyway, so then, you know, I said, you know, is there another way that you want me to cue you? And they said, you know, can you go to the back of the room? They wanted me on the opposite side of the ballroom. What? Like, they wanted me on the other side of the ballroom. First of all, there's so many people in between us. So it's like, you want me on the other side of the ballroom. What if you don't see me? What if you're not looking around for me? I'm not going to be breaking my neck and stressing out even harder trying to get your attention. Also, you may not be paying attention. Maybe you don't realize that I really need for you to be looking at me the whole time so that I can cue you, okay? So anyway, so they're going on and on and on about it, and they're really just nasty about it. Like, it's just like they're very offended, right? And I'm like, don't be offended. You know what I mean? Like, let's just make this happen. Anyway, so they say to me again, you know, like, I'm fine. I don't need for you to cue me. And I said, again, I do need to cue you. And I'm trying to explain again, also because sometimes we have to, you know, we have to alter the timeline based on something that's happening that maybe no one else knows that's happening. Maybe nobody else knows that the photographer dropped their lens and broke that lens, and they called their best friend who just happens to be down the street who's going to bring them another lens. Like, maybe someone slipped in the back. Maybe one of the, you know, the wait staff slipped in the back, broke their arm, so there's chaos in the back. And so that's why, you know, no one's ready to bring the cake to the back in time for it to cut. Anyway, my point is there are a lot of things that are happening, right? So I have to adjust the timeline based on my experience, which is over 13 years. They wanted to fight, and I didn't want to fight about it, and I just am like, I can't take it anymore. So it was the 7th time that I explained to them, you know, like, I'm going to cue you, and this is how. They said, you know what? No. We're just going to do it ourselves. I said, okay. Because what I'm not doing is fighting with people all day during wedding day because they're trying to prove that they are important to the couple or whatever. I don't even know why people do this. It's like just shut up and let me help you. Like, not to be super rude, but you're killing me, okay? You know, like, you're killing me and I need for you to stop because I'm about to fight everybody. So anyway, you know, like I said, they decided to take it upon themselves. And again, it's not my job to fight with your guests. And I'm going to step in and make sure that things are rolling the way that they're supposed to be rolling. But you know, after a while, if your guests don't understand that you spent a lot of money for me to be there to make sure that the day is running smoothly, and also if they're just not respectful, there's only so much I can do. They announced the father-daughter dance. They went ahead and announced that while the photographer was downstairs eating. The photographer and the videographers were downstairs eating. Okay? So they went ahead and announced that. And so the photographers, you know, like mid-bite, I get a call from the MC screaming, saying, we need them up here right now. We need the videographer up here right now. And I'm like, you know, like, if you would have just listened to me, then you would have known that maybe we're going to do that at this time, you know, because the photographer and videographers have to eat. Anyway, there were a bunch of things like that. There were tons of things like that. Now, we have a perfectly good DJ who is a professional, who can announce anything. But instead, there was so much chaos because of these MCs who were put into place. Now, again, some of you might be looking and, you know, hearing this and thinking, well, you're the wedding planner, and that's why I hired you. And, you know, you're supposed to, you know, take charge of this, that, and the other. We'll talk about that at a later date. So, again, if you are going to have your friends and family announcing, being the MC, if they're going to be doing anything, you know, during your wedding day, make sure that they know that the wedding planner is in charge, right? Because again, if this isn't something that they do, you know, for a living, if they're not professionals, if they're not in this industry, they may not understand why we're doing some things, and they also may not understand how to do it. And again, there's only so much that I can do as a wedding planner, you know, when your people are getting in the way. And that's it. That's the quick and dirty.